It's middays, a little Steve Perry bumping us into this segment. Thank you for that, Rhino. We're pleased to welcome now Jay McDaniel, Executive Director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Hey, Jay.
Hey, good morning, Gerard.
Good to see you, man. What's going on?
Man, just getting through the holidays. Still working, but things are going well. I hope things are good with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate you joining us. Wanted to get some insight into how our gaming revenues fared this year. How's the industry doing?
The industry had a good year. We are likely to end down slightly, probably between 1% to 2% compared to last year. But that is good news considering the last 2 years we were down 3.5% in 2022 and 2023. So the coastal market actually looks like they're going to finish up on the year. So if you look at our three markets, the way we look at it, coastal, lower river, upper river, I think the coastal market's going to do better, and then the other two are going to do slightly below. So overall, not terrible considering economic conditions of the past year.
Yeah. What does that mean, Jay, in terms of revenue to the state of Mississippi?
So that we should finish about $2.45 billion in gaming revenue, somewhere close to 2.5, and the state gets 8% of that, so about $200 million just straight to the general fund, and then the locals get 4%, so that's another $100 million to the local markets. So about a $300 million tax impact to both the state and local areas.
It's been pretty steady, has it not, Jay? The total state and local, $250, $275 million for a few years.
Yeah, that's right. If you look pre-pandemic, from 2011 to 2020, it was 2.2 billion just about every year. We just kind of hit a stagnant area there. And then after the pandemic, when we had that money in the in the hands of people that wanted to come and get out, we had a boost there. 2021 was really good, and it bumped back up to a 2.5, 2.6 number. And now we've kind of come back a little bit, but we're still doing better than we did the decade before the pandemic. So, but you're right, the 2.2 to 2.6 billion is just about where we have been the last 20 years.
Yeah. I think a lot of folks remember the push to legalize, to authorize casino gaming in the state of Mississippi. And of course, there was a lot of talk about the revenue it would produce for the state. The $200 million is certainly nothing to sneeze at as far as that's concerned, but I think it's a lot less than what people expected in terms of direct revenue to the general fund. But by far, I think, Jay, the bigger benefit is just the economic impact of these properties and these casino operators.
Yeah, exactly. If you talk to the Mississippi Gaming and Hospitality Association, they do a really good breakdown of the total economic benefit to the state. And it's more like $1 billion when you talk about payroll, income taxes, the hotel taxes, resort fees, things like that. So, while the hit directly the general fund's $200 million, I think the benefit our state gets and the fact that our patrons are 50-60% coming from out of state, we're getting that money from non-Mississippians, which is good. And so, at the end of the day, I think it's a much better economic benefit when you look overall at jobs created and the other amenities and things that kind of pop up around the casinos.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. So you and I have talked about this before, but last year, Representative Casey Urey in the Mississippi House introduced legislation that would authorize mobile sports betting within the boundaries of the state. Currently, mobile sports betting is available on casino property, but this would extend that to be available throughout the entire state. It didn't get very far over in the Senate. Do you expect that to come up again this year? I know this is not something you guys take a position on, but do you expect that to be something they'll take up?
I do. If you were to talk to Representative Urey, I think he would agree that he plans to introduce a similar bill, or someone in the House, I think, at least plans to do it. It sailed through the House pretty easily last session, early in the session. So I would imagine if it comes up, it'll be early in the session. Again, probably introduced in the House, and then it'll be whether the Senate wants to move it. But I think you'll see not only will it come up, I think it'll be a very similar bill. I do think, like you said, we don't really take a position, but I do think the bill, if you're going to pass one, was a good bill that it basically kept it in the hands of the current operators who already know what they're doing. already have it on premises.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's one of those things. I will tell you, I've told many this. Mobile gaming is already alive and well in the state. It's just not regulated, and it's very hard for us to stop all of it. So it's one of those things where I think certainly if they did pass it, it's something where you're at least adding some tax revenue where you're not getting it right now.
That's a great point. We're missing out on that revenue, and to a great extent, before the Mississippi Lottery Corporation was passed into law, the availability of a state lottery, we had what in the lottery industry is referred to as leakage. We had a lot of Mississippi citizens that were crossing the border into Louisiana to play the Louisiana lottery, and we were missing out on those revenues.
Right, and now you're getting Alabama revenue, I would imagine, pretty healthy.
No doubt.
Because
we're
they don't
pulling
have
folks. That's exactly right. Pulling folks from Alabama because they are one of the 5 remaining states that do not have a state lottery. Anything you guys are going to be working on with the legislature, Jay, other than, of course, the mobile sports betting, which is not something, again, you're taking a position on, but it is related to your function there. Anything you guys are pushing the legislature on?
Nothing we're pushing, but certainly there are bills that I think we'll see that will impact gaming, and we always are available. I do give our legislators credit. They come to us, how does this look? What would this do? So I do expect there to be some bills that we'll just have some general advice on from our standpoint as a regulator. Last year there was a bill that passed the Senate for DHS to intercept child support payments, from jackpot winners. That did pass the Senate, didn't pass the House. So that's another one of those that I would expect would come up again. And again, we're there to help describe the best way you could do that if something like that would be implemented.
Yeah, interesting, because that is incorporated in the Clark Act that established the Mississippi Lottery Corporation, that when someone comes to redeem their prize, and they're required to do so if it's $600 or over, that's the first thing that's checked is, do you have any child support payments in arrears? And that's going to be deducted from any prize winnings. I'm a little surprised we can't get that through our legislature because we already have that in the lottery. Just makes sense. I think most Mississippians would support that measure. What's the outlook for the casino gaming industry just nationwide, Jay? How did it do this past year? How are they feeling about next year?
Yeah, overall, we have 40 states that have some form of gaming, most of it commercial, some of it a mix of commercial and tribal gaming. But I think if the AGA puts out a report every year, and we'll know at the first of the year, but everything I've been reading is that this past year, if you looked overall, the majority of the states had a good year. I think most states were over percentage-wise. But a lot of that's because a lot of states have really just added gaming. I mean, the markets are just growing every year. You have another state either legalizing gaming or adding casinos to what they already had. So a lot of that growth is new casinos. I think our state has done well in that we have not seen a new casino open, 9 years now, but yet we still maintain a very healthy market with those 26 out there. And that's because they do a really good job of keeping their amenities up and making people want to come to their properties. So I think while we're down a little bit, I think it's still good considering we are not a market where you just see casinos expanding.
Yeah. So, Jay, if a new casino did seek to open up for business in the state of Mississippi, explain that process to us. Did they submit that application to the Mississippi Gaming Commission for approval?
Yeah, that's right. Right now, as you know, we have legalized gaming along the river and on the Gulf Coast. So you would have the first step someone would come in and they've got a piece of property they want to put a casino on. They make sure it meets the legal requirements of where to build. And then the second step after that is approval to actually build it. And there are certain requirements they have to meet that are in our regulations. They're not monetary, but it's a size, scale of the development that they would have to get approval to do that. And then the third step, once you build, you get your license. So all three of those steps go through the commission. And right now, it's along the river and the Gulf Coast, obviously.
Yeah, and you have 3 commissioners, right? It's a tribunal form.
That's correct.
So would it require a unanimous vote, Jay, or just a majority?
A majority vote.
Okay. And I assume all that's established in statute, right?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, well, never know. There may be someone lurking out there that thinks Mississippi is fertile ground for another one, and you guys, of course, would be charged with making the determination as to whether or not to allow them to open up. Jay, appreciate you coming on. Always a pleasure. Enjoyed the discussion. I hope you have a fantastic, happy, and healthy new year. Thanks, man.
You too, Gerard. Thanks.
We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio. We've got SuperTalk's news director, J.T. Mitchell.